The disappearances began on July 21st, 1974. Little Jean Marie Schoen was only 9 years old, but she was known as a feisty little girl and often went by the nickname Jeannie. On the day she disappeared, her mother was out of town on a trip, and her uncle sent her to the store to buy him a pack of cigarettes, a normal errand for a child in the 1970s. But somewhere between her home and the store, she vanished. It was meant to be a short errand. The corner store was just a few blocks from Jeannie's Springfield home. Detectives established Jeannie did make it to that store and bought the cigarettes, but then forgot them on the counter when she left to go to a nearby place called The Hangout to play pinball, but was shooed away by the owner.
He tells her, when we open for business, the floors are dry, you can come back and you can play pinball. He says he never sees her again.
From there, the corner store owner says she returned, picked up the forgotten cigarettes, and left. And that is the last confirmed sighting of the little girl. Sergeant Dan Jansen with the Cold Case Unit at the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office says Jeannie's case file is filled with interviews from people who thought they saw something strange that day. But there is one story that stood out to detectives back then and today. Two girls named Vanessa and Lori say Jeannie was with them at a laundromat when a white man with light-colored hair on a blue bike came inside and grabbed Jeannie and pulled her into a restroom.
They were in the bathroom a short time, and he reappears with her that she was crying, and they asked again what was going on, and he says, again, mind your own business.
The girls told police the man left with Jeannie on his bike. But there is a red flag raised in Sergeant Jansen's mind about this story. For a feisty little girl who knew not to go anywhere with strangers, Vanessa and Lori never say that Jeannie screamed or tried to fight the man.
There might be the assumption that she knew of him, whether it was an acquaintance, neighbor, or something like that.
The reports say Jeannie wasn't a runaway child. She had a loving home and followed the rules. So police suspected foul play.
Canvases, talking to the people in the neighborhood, because the level of accountability was much stronger back then.
But lead after lead turned up nothing. Her mother, Pam, now deceased, took out ads in the paper describing her anguish in waiting with no answers. She's quoted in the Jacksonville Journal 17 days after Jeannie disappeared.
The waiting is the hardest thing I've ever had to do in my life, and the fact that there are no leads, which could be good or could be bad. But a little girl doesn't just vanish.
But Jeannie's disappearance would be the beginning of a strange pattern of vanishings.
When you have 5 girls that are missing in 3 months' time, when was the last time that happened? It doesn't happen.
Only 2 bodies would eventually be found. Jeannie nor her remains were ever recovered. But now, more than 4 decades later, cold case detectives are taking a closer look at what happened to those little girls in the summer of '74. Just 11 days after Jeannie went missing, 2 more girls disappeared. Sisters Annette and Millette Anderson went missing from their Jacksonville home in just a span of 20 minutes. Their story tomorrow on Unsolved.
Katie, thank you. Now, we're going to be telling you more about these cold cases every night this week at 6 p.m. So join us again tomorrow at the same time for the next installment of Unsolved.